Okay, so how much does it actually cost for the typical side dishes that people get for Thanksgiving meals? Let's talk about this. Back in a minute. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, this is Jan. Welcome to another episode on the Save Money and More with Jan channel. How you doing today? Happy Monday. Well, we're getting in the middle of the month now. We're getting closer and closer to the big turkey day. What are your plans this year? You going to make a big elaborate dinner, or are you trying to save as much as you can, in a frugal manner, or just don't have enough and still want to make for a happy day? Well, I took some of the guesswork out of the typical amount of money it would take to buy the typical Thanksgiving dinner fare, just to let you know. Now, the only thing I did not mention, and I want to make a big note of this, big note of this, I did not include the price of turkey. Jan, turkey's the star of the show. I know it is, but it's also a variant. It's a big variant. Who likes turkey? Who doesn't like turkey? Who rather buy a roast chicken? Who rather make chicken cutlets or turkey cutlets? I've done all of these different things myself. I didn't always put out a turkey, just for the record. But I'm big on the side dishes. I really am. So we're leaving the turkey out of the equation. We leave that up to you. But I did want to give an update of the current price range in 2024 because obviously that has changed a lot over time. And also to mention that usually, not always, but usually in my experience, as we approach the day closer and closer, some of the prices of some of those things that I'm about to mention might go down. I don't know why, but it might go down. Not saying, I'm just saying. Like, for example, let's talk about those box stove mixes to make the stuffing, okay? That's something that I've seen start off sometimes in the earlier part of the month at a higher price. And then as we get closer, like usually like a few days before, it may go down. Again, may is the possibility. But let's look at the possible higher prices so that you could sit down and calculate and ask yourself, what could I do to cut corners, if at all? All right. So I'm going to mention the names, and this is the actual price range that I have seen for actual stove top stuffing. And you want to know something interesting? Sometimes the flavor actually determines the price in certain cases. Imagine, for example, I saw that the chicken flavor was $1 less than the turkey flavor. And to me, the chicken and the turkey flavor, to me, taste pretty much similar. But the actual price range, okay, for a 6 serving box of the stovetop stuffing, okay, ranges anywhere from $3.49 to $4.49. Interesting. Like I said, the chicken flavor could be a little bit lower in price than the turkey. Go figure. I don't understand it, but that's just the way it is. Next, the second one, a 16-ounce can of jellied cranberry sauce. I love cranberry sauce. I look forward to it every year. 16, and I like the canned one on purpose. I think the canned one tastes the best. I've had fresh, I've done fresh. It tastes good, but I know predictably the canned one is always going to be good. So I'm just saying. 16-ounce can of jellied cranberry sauce, national brand, starts at $2.79. And the whole berry one also is the same price, which is interesting. So it's pretty much exactly the same price, about $2.79 for a 16-ounce can. So, okay, so you may rethink your, brand that you're purchasing, or if you're stuck, on a certain brand, this is your typical price of the national brand, $2.79. Next, number three, a small can of, now this is interesting. You could go in it's like sweet potatoes or candied yams or yams. It could get rather confusing. All right. So let's just call the whole thing candied yams. So small can of sweet potato slash yams, 15.5 ounce. That's the small can, the 15.5 ounce versus the 40 ounce can. The 15.5 ounce can, $2.49 versus the 40 ounce can, $4.43. I am different than most people. I love all sorts of yams, sweet potatoes. I love them fresh. I love them frozen. I love them canned. I'll take every one of them. Pick your favorite way, but there are various ways to have it. But it starts off at $2.49 for 15.5 ounces, and 40 ounces, $4.43. Next, now I went for the lowest price of the Idahoan buttery home style mashed potatoes. You know, those pouches, those are $1.49, but of course it can go higher. Okay, just saying. Starts off at $1.49, but I've seen it from $1.49 to much higher for different flavors of those Idahoan pouches. Okay, now just to mention as I continue with this, I picked all the convenient stuff. I mean, some people, of course, make their own cranberry sauce. Some people, of course, prefer to make their own mashed potatoes. Okay, I just like went with the easiest, most commonly used, convenient stuff. Okay, now let's talk about pumpkin pie. Let's talk about it. Now, on sale at times, you could probably get one, a national brand one, in the $6.99 range. But from what I've been looking at right now, at this moment of this recording in November, like November 4, okay, I'm recording this. You're going to listen to this on November 11. All right. Frozen pumpkin pie, I've seen at $8.69 or more. Now, those are interesting. I am not a huge fan of those. I am not. I find the taste of the pumpkin is something off about it, or it's ultra sweet. There's one national brand that used to be like you could get it more readily. I just don't find it that often for some reason or another. So that one was one of the better ones. But in general, the frozen pumpkin pies, yes, they may be convenient. Yes, you could put them in your freezer. Yes, you don't have to worry about it and just throw it in your oven. I get that. We've all done that, been there, done that. But what I do is I rather go to a fresh, bakery section at the grocery store and get their own that's done up already. No baking required. But what you could do, and this is what I do, okay, so that there's not too much pumpkin pie being eaten at the same time. I cut that pumpkin pie in half, the one from the fresh bakery. I wrap it up thoroughly and I put it in the freezer. I put it in the freezer for Christmas. Yeah. You could do things like that, If you have a lot of something, you don't want it hanging around, you don't want to eat all of it at once. No. You could do things like that and it works out. But as far as the frozen pumpkin pies, I'm disappointed in the last few years. They don't taste as great as they used to. I'd rather either just make some sort of a pumpkin related dessert or maybe just make a chocolate cream pie or a cheesecake. Frozen cheesecakes, those taste great. Those taste great. You could always make those. But as far as the cost, the lowest I saw was about $6.99. That was a big sale. The average typical cost is more than this. It's more than that, rather. It's like $8.69. That's a big chunk of money if you're on a budget. All right, next, McCormick brown gravy packet, $2.29 for a packet. This is something that is a variable. Some people use brown gravy, some people did not. You know what I just realized? I just realized this, that you could really like chunk down a lot of the cost by not making a brown gravy in a packet. Make it yourself. It's a very simple process. And there are tons and tons of videos on here to show you that. All right, so I did the grand total. This is just for the sides, and this is just for the convenient sides. It doesn't even include the cost if you do it all from scratch. I try to keep your bill down as minimally as I could because you're not adding extra things. See, here's the beauty part. If you're on a budget, like a tight budget, and you still want to celebrate a typical Thanksgiving meal, again, you got to figure out the way you do your turkey or your chicken or whatever you do, or beef even. But here's the cost of everything. $21.24. So basically, almost $21.25 it will cost you for the typical sides. So include that. It's a lot cheaper, in my opinion. In my opinion, again, all opinion. It's so much easier to just make the box stovetop type of stuffing. Excuse me. But if you have your own family recipe that you only take out for once a year, go for it. I'm just talking about numbers, not talking about your favorite. Excuse me. All right. It's a lot cheaper. The instant mashed potatoes, I mean, what a time saver, what an effort saver. But if you happen to have potatoes in the house, I mean, and cost more using half and half and the butter, the price of butter take. The fact that you only need water for those instant mashed potatoes. They taste pretty darn good. I'm just saying. The canned cranberry sauce. Well, when you make your own cranberry sauce, you got to use a lot of sugar. I mean, like a ton of sugar. And if you do the math, it's actually more, in my opinion, cost effective to get the canned one, which is always a guarantee. And there's always that one person that says, "What happened to the canned one?" I'm just saying. So, there are ways to get around it. Interesting about the stovetop that the chicken flavor was like $1 less than the turkey flavor. Go figure. And there's such a slight, I didn't mean ever so slight difference. I always buy the chicken one anyway. Myself personally, I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'll just keep going with the chicken one. That's me. That's me. So there you have it. I did the math for you. We're talking about $21.24, rounded off to $21.25. You could go the completely homemade route. Now, what could you do to reduce the cost of that? Let's talk about that before I go. Well, if you have a dollar type store that carries these typically same items, I would say you'd be reducing this by a whole lot, like a whole lot. So consider that option, if money is tight, okay? And there's a lot to be said about different options other than big turkey. Sometimes people don't want to deal. They don't want to deal with the hassle of a huge turkey. Sometimes people rather just go to the deli section and purchase some really good quality sliced turkey and just heat it up with your own gravy. Excuse me, and make open face turkey sandwiches as the main turkey source. You still have your turkey and avoid all that work and hassle, especially if it's a small household. I'm just saying these are just options if you want to still go the traditional route. Nothing wrong with that, but you have to do the math. I would say, to be honest with you, it would be wise to put at least $40 to the side to include all the side dishes I mentioned. There might be something I missed. Macaroni and cheese is not something I normally would eat on Thanksgiving. So I did not include that. Okay. But that doesn't mean that others don't. I'm just talking about my own budget. I typically wouldn't do that. And most people, if they have Thanksgiving dinner, would have a home style done up from scratch macaroni and cheese. There are so many other special days to take that extra effort. But if that's a main thing in your family, take what you want as best that works tailor made for your family. If you prefer making the cranberry thing from scratch, you go for it. If your family rather the can, like to watch it slide out of the can, that's choices. And I didn't even include the beverages. So let's keep that in mind. It just hit me now. Oh wow. Just hit me now. Include the cost of possible apple cider if that's something you go for, whatever. So allow for another $6-7 is what I would say on that. Years and years ago, what I used to do is I used to buy apple juice concentrate frozen. Remember that? And I used to doctor it up. I'd make it ahead of time and I would doctor it up with cinnamon sticks and, all sorts of things like that as the beverage of choice and make a whole bunch of it. And it was cost effective and it was delicious. Did the same trick. So, and this is really scratching the surface. So at a bare bones minimum, I would say hold at least $40. Okay. But if you go to the dollar type store, you are definitely Oh, wait a minute. I just realized what I did accidentally omit. The green beans. A lot of people eat that green bean casserole. You better throw in another $3 to $5 on that. Yep. Yep. So let's talk 45 bucks. There you go. See how it all adds up? All right. I don't make that green bean casserole because 99% of the time it's just like for show. Like who really eats it in my family? I'm just saying. You have to know your family. Anyway, this is just a heads up, but I just thought I'd do a show about this. Have an amazing, fantastic day, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And please don't forget to do the following. Take good care of yourself and your amazing family.